everyone, welcome back to Player One vs. World and for Life After Strange. It's been a while, but this is our first episode of 2023, and I have the absolute pleasure of welcoming on Trey Hutch. You'll know Trey as Drew North, the complicated character of Before the Storm. I can't say he's a jock, he's a very complicated person, but in itself, we have Trey Hutch here. Trey, welcome. I'm so grateful for you to be here. How are you doing?
Pretty good, man.
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. I'm not too bad. As I said, I'm just very happy to have you on here. It's been a while since our last episode. I think the last episode we had Katie Bentz on because she'd gone back for True Colors and made a second appearance. And obviously, you know Katie from your BTS days. But as I said, I'm very excited to have this series back on the channel and also, in terms of exploring Before Storm. But just before we start as well, if you are new here, I always ask if you can, please just drop a subscribe, turn on notifications, comment and share this video with your friends. The series has been on for over 2 years. We have over 1,000 subscribers on the channel, and it's really grateful if you subscribe because we have a large output of traffic who don't subscribe. But as I said, I want to get that out of the way, Trey, because I want to talk with you first. So very special this year because in August, it'll be 6 years since Before the Storm was released. My first question has to be, what are the immediate feelings when I bring that up? And looking back now, considering it was such a career-changing role for you.
Man, first and foremost, I think about how long, not to say how long, but how quick the time has come. Like, I'm not one to really cling towards time as it is anyways, but like when you sit back and think, like, I would have said like maybe it's been 4 years, 3, 4, 4, 5 years, you know what I'm saying? Maybe 4 years, a stretch for how long it's been. But you sit back and think like, man, it's been 6. Like it's definitely been a journey. And then when I think about, back then, I'm like, man, like I said, it doesn't seem like it's been that long.
It honestly doesn't. As I said, like I focused, like when I was covering BTS, like Kylie was, I think, 18 or 19 when I spoke to her, and like she's now like 20, 24, but I still see that young girl in her. And obviously, as you said, like the time flies by with Life is Strange. But I completely understand where you're coming from with like how long it's been, and that we'll kick into BTS in a little bit because I kind of want to wind things back because obviously I brought you on. We need to know about Trey Hutch as well, and I want to know how you got into acting. I know it's a bit of a cliche kind of question to start with, but I wanted to know how you got into it. Was there a certain moment that kind of clicked with you that you knew that this is the kind of profession you wanted to go into?
I mean, most definitely. I first started off behind the camera. So I wasn't even thinking of being in front of the camera or on scene of anything at first. I started off with photography and video. And from there, I just started getting like my own, I guess you could say vision. I guess I wanted to use another word, but vision is the word. I started getting my own vision of what I wanted to do. And as far as like career moves. And from that, it was just, you know what? I got to start attacking things in front of the camera as well, too. And lo and behold, got casted for, down the line, got casted for Life is Strange, and here we are.
Yeah. Do you know, with that as well, because you had that experience behind the camera, how beneficial is that to kind of transition into an actor? Because obviously you get the optics of seeing how actors are working. Did you find it really beneficial, especially in terms of, like, I know some people train to become actors to go down different routes and stuff, but having been there working behind the scenes, what kind of insight did you give you into the actors you worked with?
Man, that, for me, now this is not like my own personal opinion, so anybody may differ for anybody else, but for me, it helped tremendously. Just knowing where the angles are coming from, the angles of shots, just knowing the shot types, just, being conscious of those things, but now being in front of the camera. Things that you don't even recognize as far as facial expressions, as far as making things, appear to the audience. So it's like, you could point out the good actors from, the okay ones just by, the little subtle things. He's really mad. His nose is flaring up. He's, these things that you can express on, you could pinpoint on somebody's face without having the unspoken, language of it, I should say. So that it gave me like some insight on that, coming from, being an operator to now being in front of the camera, being the subject. And there's another big one that's escaping me a little bit, but that's pretty much the main thing.
No, it's absolutely insightful to hear it. And I'm going to switch gears here, and I've kind of loosely worded this question, which is going to be like, who was the biggest influence on you growing up?
Ooh, the biggest influence. I can't really attribute that to one person because there was like then now I mean like attributing that to one person is almost kind of like attributing that to like God almost, like I can't give one person this whole, like there was no package, no one package of person. So like, let's say like growing up, I wanted to be as cool as Will Smith, as adventurous as like, as adventurous as like a Denzel or like, I'm gonna say a Brad Pitt, how he was admired, or like you look at him in those roles like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Troy. You look at those and him and Will Smith, those type of people in those roles of like like man, that's the man. So I wanted to be like as cool and as cool as those guys. I wanted to be like as flashy as. I mean, I can't really say I never really wanted to be as that flashy. But if I had to pinpoint somebody as flashy, in the acting scene, dang, who would really come to mind? I mean, Will Smith would also probably have to fit in that category. You know what I'm saying? Being as cool because being cool and flashy. So yeah, I already said that. I gotta think about that. Who else was talented? I mean, there was so many other talented people that I can't even come to grips with. Like, I mean, growing like, okay, Chris Brown, we probably, somewhere around the same age. So I can't really give, him as somebody I was looking up to, but definitely somebody that I can admire and say, yo, you're multi-talented, yeah, being able to dance, act, sing, do music as well. So I give him his kudos. I can't think of anybody who before him, because Michael Jackson really didn't act like that. He was in maybe like one or two things. But yeah, so I hope I gave, some type of context to the people.
No, absolutely. You picked some great actors as well. Absolutely great selection of actors.
Well, I'm sorry, but like my vision, as far as me, when it came to my vision, I never could see myself just being like a low tier person. So I wanted to pick from the cream of the crop and just like, let me pinpoint from him, take from him, take from him, and then let me create myself and, roll with it like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for the top talent. You should always aim for the top, even if sometimes maybe it seems completely impossible to get there. You should definitely do it. I felt this myself with this own channel. Like it was, I never expected to get 1,000 subscribers, and yet 2 years down the line we got there. And the same with like the people. If you had said to me about the series, had I got 5 actors on here, I would have been thrilled. And the fact that we had 30 on here, and now yourself with 31, it's just that's the kind of expectation I want to do. So I feel very similar to what you mean, where it's like you're setting it. You look at those people and you want to go for the best talent to kind of achieve for. And I'm going to stick with you for the moment as well. You told me you were in California. Are you based in, were you born in California?
Yeah. Born and raised, moved around a little bit, but pretty much California bred.
I respect that. And what I wanted to ask you that was like, I speak to actors, and having spoken to a lot of them, I know they're based everywhere. They're based in Colorado, they're based in California, they've moved from state to state. But I was curious, like, has there ever been a desire to move away from Cali and look for acting roles in different areas of the state? Or is it kind of the appeal of being Hollywood? Have you kind of been like, I want to be working in this part of the state to kind of get jobs?
You know what? That's actually kind of funny because the way I grew up, like I never even thought about or considered doing acting when I was growing up. I was really more into sports, trying to, and also other things, trying to figure out who I was going to become. But I was heavily into sports. Like if you asked me 10 years ago, I'm going to the league. Let me just be blunt. I'm going to the league. That was my mindset. I'm going to the league. I'm playing football. I was playing basketball at the time. In between playing football and basketball, I ended up going with football more. But I was like, yeah, man, I'm going to the league. Like, I'm not thinking about anything else. So living and growing up in LA, like you always knew that, Hollywood, La La Land, all of that. But I was never one of them ones that was just like, you know what, I'm gonna be here and do, acting and everything here. So as I grew and I grew out of and I grew into acting, media acting, that whole realm, and I grew out of sports entertainment. It's funny because I did come about that trying to find acting in other ways, because I started thinking, like, knowing that I was born and raised here, it was like, you know what, let me think differently. Like, everybody comes here. If I can go playing sports, let me dial back, but playing sports got me the opportunity to go travel. And when I traveled, that's when I initially started like doing just other little things. I started picking up the camera. I took a few classes in film media and picked up the camera and stuff. Started doing some of like broadcasting, acting stuff, but never thought about it like I'm gonna carry it with me. But the work that I put in and the connections that I made with people, I was already doing this stuff before I even had it in my head that I was gonna, you know what I'm saying, like I was gonna do it. It was just work or just some fun stuff, you know. If we make it like a little short film or whatever, it's just, you know, it's fun. Like, oh yeah, I'll act out, I'll be, or I'll, you know, I got the shots. I make this dope shot. I got this vision in my head. I make the dope shot. But never like, yo, I'm gonna take this and make a career with it. So when I did, I started and being able to travel with sports and stuff like that. I already had connections in different areas. So it was kind of like not missing a beat. You know, got to jump right into something else, and I went up to Seattle for a little minute. I was connected with a little agency up there. I never really got any work up there, but a few auditions, you know, and stuff like that. Plus, I didn't spend too much time up there. Other than that, everything's been pretty much California. There's Vegas, you know, there's some Vegas, you know, some Vegas stuff. That's California's background or backyard, whatever, 3 hours away. There's some Vegas stuff that goes on too. So apply for, you know, anywhere. But so I did have that thought to touch on that. I did have that thought. But then I also still grew up not thinking about, you know what I'm saying, not thinking about it. As I got into it, I did have that thought to, you know, let me attack other places outside of California and then still hit California because it's home. But yeah, so that's why it's kind of funny.
No, I completely understand that. It's just because I found some actors have moved from like so many varying states, and it kind of only crossed my mind recently. I was like, I don't know if he's based in California, if he's been living there his entire life. I know a lot of people move to California with the opportunity to get into acting gigs because there are quite a few out there. And obviously, Hollywood's kind of on your back door, so it's kind of you want to have those opportunities. We'll come on to the sports bit in a little bit. Obviously, with Drew, there's a lot of similarities there, but yeah, and you know, when I do these interviews, I always do a lot of sleuthing, and I do them a lot of the people that I've got on here, and I know that you do some modeling work, and then also the fact that I'm taking this quote, which says a musician on the rise. So if you're ever wondering who's looked on your LinkedIn, it was me multiple times. that was quite a take from there. But I'm curious about two.
Wait, dial that back. You said stood on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it was on your LinkedIn profile. It said musician on the rise.
Oh, yeah. I haven't, man. I've been so in and out of using that thing.
No, I noticed that for two reasons, because I wanted to take on the fact that during the modeling work, you know, how did you kind of get into that? Because as you said, you worked behind the camera, but then you do the acting. Was it kind of like you started doing the modeling work because you started doing acting and it was another avenue of like work that you could do? And also as well with the music side as well, are you still a musician on the rise? Are you still doing music, or have you kind of like passed that by?
So to get to the first question, the modeling thing came about with the acting thing. Yeah. It was another avenue to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. You know, if I wanted to, I mean, I'm not going to just close off any doors, put it like that. Yeah. So I was open to modeling. I modeled for a few clothing lines. It was pretty cool. Never done like a fashion runway or anything like that. Maybe possibly be open to it. The music has been, it's still on the rise because, I haven't dropped anything yet. I mean, I got a few features. I'm on every platform, I believe. I haven't been on Tidal, so I don't know. I'm sure I'm on there though. But I'm on there for features. My name is on there. If you type in my name, Trey Hutch, TR3 Hutch, all one word. I'm on there for my features. I'm getting ready to drop a project pretty soon. I've been working diligently at this music stuff, and pretty excited, man. I'm getting some good reviews. I got a lot of things. I've been very quiet when it comes to everything because I've just been working. But the music is definitely, it's on the way.
Honestly, I feel you because I host another Life is Strange podcast with my co-host who's Adam, and we do like a 2-week podcast where we just, talk about Life is Strange, keep things kind of conversation going. And in the minute that I mentioned you were a musician, he's also someone who does a lot of music in his own spare time. And he's like, as soon as I mentioned that you're doing music, he's like, started looking your name up. He's like, I want to know what this guy does. I want to know what his kind of like style is. You're like really excited about hearing it. And he like tried to look for whatever music you're featured in. He was like, I need to kind of like know that. So I had to put that into this conversation here. And I kind of want to pick it apart one more thing, which is, because we'll get to Life is Strange next, but I want to go with just the music. What's the best way to describe your style as a musician? And then who are some of the go-to artists that you listen to?
The best way I would say to describe my music is to not just listen to it and get your experience. I can't put a cap on, what it is. Like, I'm not going to. What I would say for you is listen, truly listen, and enjoy. That's pretty much it. Because it's good. There's messages in there, but it's good. It's not. I don't want to just toot my own horn. That's why I'm really like talking about myself, because But I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's good. It's great music. You gonna find yourself bobbing to it. You can feel it. And then there's a message in there as well, too. So, listen and enjoy. No titles on nothing, man. Like,
I admire the confidence. That's the best way to speak about it. But, like, on top of that as well, just my second part, who are some of your go-to musicians that you listen to?
Man, I pretty much, I want to say this, but, like, I pretty much listen to everybody. And I'm not gonna of course there's people that I don't know. I pretty much listen to everybody. I want to hear what's out there, But I really only gain influence from like a select few. I can't say that. I can't say that. I can gain influence from just about anybody. The influence that I tend to lean towards would be more towards like the top guys in the industry. I mean, Drake, J. Cole, Kendrick, Jay, Wayne, those guys for being legends. Those guys for the longevity of the game, for the articulation of the words, for the deliveries, for all the classical and timeless music that they've made. Like, those have been my inspirations. Just to have the quotables, that they say. Like shit that you'll never forget.
Yeah.
And it transcends to every culture. Like, you could never even know, like, somebody could probably not even know who Jay-Z was or Lil Wayne was, but know a verse from him just because their cousin says it all the time. It's a saying of theirs, something like that. Like, that's my inspiration. That's my influence when it comes to it. It's just, being legendary. So those are some of my guys. There's a lot of people on there. Like, there's a lot of people on there. Like, there's a lot of artists and there's a lot of good music, and we live in a time, despite, there is a lot of noise, but we live in a time where, it's a lot of great stuff being put out right now. And maybe the fact that so much is being put out is drowning out, and making people conform or just stick to what they know. But there's so much great music out there.
Oh, there's some great choices, and I'm a big Kendrick fan, so I'm very happy that you mentioned that. And obviously, oh man, it's so good, and obviously, really great to get to know you on a personal level. But people are like screaming as well, because obviously there's a huge elephant in the room that we've kind of put to the side, which was Life is Strange Before the Storm. We bring that back. So, Trey, I want to start kind of at the beginning. How did you end up auditioning for BTS? Was it something you self-submitted for, or was it something that came through like an agent or an agency?
I have to be, when it comes to this question, I have to, I gotta always give kudos to the fan base, and I gotta give kudos to like everybody who was there before, because like until I came in for the reading, I had no idea about Life is Strange at all. And that's no disrespect, I played the games, dope. I haven't played the recent one, and And Katie's probably gonna be mad at me, but I haven't played the recent one. But I had no information or no knowledge about it. So even when I was auditioning for the role, I was under the impression that I was auditioning for something called Alameda. And I had no idea what was going on. It just it really I was fresh into acting. Like this was probably like my second or third gig, to be honest with you. And I was still figuring things out. So, the way it came and went, I almost wish I could go back in time to redo it again, just so I could, because there's always that what if, damn, if I would have known how big this was and what was going on and what I was doing, that I feel like I could have put a little bit more into it, but it's over and done. It's over and done with now, and people love it, and you know what I'm saying, and
Yeah, they absolutely loved it. And obviously, as you said, most people didn't know about it because obviously the NDAs were in place and they were very cryptic with things. But for the opportunity to get it is great. And I imagine Katie won't be too angry that you haven't played True Colors, but you might have to catch up on that because I've known Katie for many years and she'll be like, Trey, why haven't you played True Colors? Get into it. But that's it.
She's going to kill me. No.
She's going to be furious. But with BTS, I kind of want to mix my next two questions together, which is what was the audition process like for BTS when you went for it? And then, as you said as well, this was so early on in your career, and I kind of looked through your IMDb, and there wasn't anything in terms of VO projects they could get, but you're kind of coming into this gig and auditioning for it, and it's in the different realms of terms of video games. It's a VO project. It's something that you're a trained actor, but was there any kind of nerves or going into the audition just because it was something that you weren't as experienced with? Because as you said, you feel so different about things. If you could go back now, you probably do incredible work because you've having had that experience. But I just wanted to know what was the audition process like, and then also in terms of was there any kind of nerves going into the audition?
So the process, pretty much like most of the processes when you're going through these things, you get an email, you apply, via email or however you find the posting. Then you get something back, and then they're like, "Oh, we want to audition you for this day." So I show up to this place, and there's other projects having auditions as well too. So there's a lot of people in there. The initial for every audition, I'm nervous. Pretty much for anything that I do, especially when it's going to be viewed by people, I'm initially nervous, and that nervousness isn't a bad thing. It's just just getting you ready, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
So I stepped into the room. Like I said, the project was titled Alameda. I just read the lines. During that time was my rookie year. So it was my first year. So the first year of anything, when you go to first year, your freshman year of high school, you don't know what, I'm saying? You're looking around, everything's so big, you might not be paying attention to that you're hungry. You might not be paying attention to your nerves or how you feel, but I could tell you that I know for sure I was nervous. But outside of that, it was nothing to stop me from, obviously, because we're here. But it was just I was nervous. There's so much going on that I really couldn't grasp it. I really couldn't really pinpoint and tell you what was going on at that place, but I could tell you everything that happened though. But I go in, audition. I felt good about it. Obviously they felt good about it because they called me back in for a second audition. Came in, it was a few weeks later, came in for the second audition and did a good job again. But I believe maybe a month or two goes by and I get an email, congratulations, you've been selected to play the role of, Drew North. Now by this time, I'm going through so many different auditions. There's probably 2 or 3 auditions a week. There's so many other postings that I'm applying for every day that when the emails come through, I'm all in my emails every day at this point in time. So the moment I check up, I'm in my emails. Okay, what's there today? So when something comes in, it's like, congratulations, you got. I'm like, what project is this? Because I've applied to so many. I don't, you know what I'm saying? So there's a bit of confusion. Saying all that to say there's a bit of confusion, some nervousness. All that stuff goes into play in your, in the beginning, in the rookie year, because you don't know what to expect. So I get the email. Congratulations. I get my time to come in. I confirm, of course. I get my time to come in, do the first run through, kill it. They love it, and then the rest was history.
The rest is history, and it's a great feeling to get that role, and then also how impactful it was. And just to double check,
honestly, that was my first nationally, or globally, big role. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like my biggest role. That was my biggest role. And I didn't even essentially know it at the time. So that's why I'm just like, now I'm like, damn, if I would have been more in the knowing at the time, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, it would have been a little bit.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so crazy just to how things manifest. Just out of curiosity, and I wanted to double check this, Drew North is the only character you auditioned for, or did you audition for any other character?
Just Drew North.
Okay, just double check him. Just double check, because I know that Haley told me that she was it for, I can't remember which character. I think it might have been for Steph or someone, and then she was casted for. Or it was Katie. Katie or Haley told me that they auditioned for another character and they got moved into another role. Or I can't remember off the top of my head. It's something similar to that, but I thought I'd just double check with you. Okay. By the way, let's move into Drew a little bit more. So we got the gig, we've landed it. But what were the first impressions about Drew and what you learned about the character? I imagine they probably gave you a character spec as well when you were preparing for the audition.
Yeah, most definitely. It was a spitting. I'm damn near like, you know what I'm saying? I can't say a spitting image of me, but like pretty much like the same background. I don't have a brother, but played football. Played sports. Grew up misfortunate a little bit as far as financial, stability with parents and stuff like that. I never went to a private school. So, or like the college that I went to was private, but I never went to a private school. There was a lot of, couldn't even talk. Similarities. It was a lot of similarities. And so I was like, yeah, it's not like playing anything different.
I can imagine it's that relatable experience that you had in personal life where you can bring in and see with the character. And with this character as well, I know that some of the actors BTS never saw their characters until they came out, or they were kind of shown earlier in development who they were playing. I wanted to ask you, do you remember when, two questions, which is like, do you remember when you first saw what Drew looked like? And then also what you thought of his appearance as well the first time you saw him?
The first time I seen him was when I actually played the game. They didn't show us anything before that, but I can only speak for my session. I know that they did have cameras. They did have cameras, and they were recording us while we were in the booth. And so when I seen the character, and I'm like, yeah, he kind of looked like me. Then I was like, that I took that they did that.
Well, actually, here's a funny story for you to know as well. So I suggested this to Dylan Winfrey. I thought, Mikey North looks quite similar to you from an early headshot. And then Webb Pickersgill, the co-director on BTS, actually replied to one of the tweets I sent where he's like, actually, we didn't lend Dylan Winfrey's likeness. It was just basically coincidence that he actually looked a lot like him. So you see, he's like, we only had the cameras obviously for the audition, and we were just like, seeing who we had, but we actually, the characters just look very similar. So I think with your case as well, Drew North just looks, which is a surreal thing. But as I said, like, I always had the assumption that they had taken maybe some of the likenesses from some of the actors, because like Haley looked a bit similar to like Samantha, and then some of the other characters look very similar. And I mean, yourself as well with Drew North, you could draw the comparisons, but as I found out, it actually wasn't borrowing your likeness. And that's just for anyone who doesn't know as well, which is a fun little fact I found out. So with that as well, I'm going to go a little bit of a tough question here. Who has the better dress sense out of you and Drew?
The better dress sense? You really don't see Drew in too many outfits. Of course, I gotta say me. Like, even though the Letterman jacket with the jeans and the t-shirt would probably be like, you know, a college, a fit of mine, a high school fit of mine. You know what I'm saying? If I just want to be comfortable, I'm walking around campus. I don't want to really wear too much. Let me just throw the jacket on just for the warmth, you know, and then just throw some jeans and a shirt on and call it a day. So, I mean, you know, he probably took a page out of my book. Definitely.
It's a good page to take out as well. And because obviously we'll dig into Mikey and Drew in a little bit because their relationship's big. But as you said, you didn't have any siblings or brother in this case. And I was going to kind of ask you if you had any siblings, but what I wanted to know was just in terms of their relationship, because it's brother dynamic. How did you kind of like, how did you kind of get into the mindset? Because obviously I have a brother, so I kind of have that brotherly love and get into it. I feel like if I had to do it, I could kind of get into it because I having known it. But how did you kind of get into that mindset of having like a brother and then kind of like sharing these experiences? Like, because as I said, when you watch the game, it just feels like you and Dylan Winfrey were in the same booth recording and the chemistry's there. But it's like,
you know what? Just before I answer the question, when I met Dylan, we all met up. We all met up together after the launch, and had like just basically had like a meeting, had a cast meeting.
Yeah.
Where we streamed it and everything, played games, asked each other questions, you know, talked about the experience, stuff like that. And me and Dylan had hit it off like from there, as if, you know what I'm saying, we were actually already brothers. Like playing some of the games, they weren't even team games. Some of them weren't even team games, and we were, you know what I'm saying, piggybacking off of each other. So that's kind of funny that you say that, and that as somebody who watched the game who wasn't in it, you know what I'm saying, could see that. To answer your question, although I didn't have any actual brothers, I've always had teammates, friends. I've always played sports. I've been sports heavy, so there's always going to be a brother. Essentially, your teammate is your brother. So those principles, I ended up developing those principles playing sports. Being how a high performing athlete as I am, I'm always a leader. I'm always in the front of the line, setting the example, or probably the one scoring the most points, or catching, you know what I'm saying, catching the most passes, you know. So with that, like I've always had an open hand to help out. My teammates are always my little brothers to me, or my brothers to me if they're older than me, whatever. They're always my brothers to me. So I just took that and I took it over here, and I take that to what, you know what I'm saying, even if I start coaching one day, or when I do have my own children one day, it's just going to be the same thing that I just took over that I learned from here, bring it over here.
It's really interesting you mentioned that, because obviously the camaraderie that you have with the teammates that you have is going to be quite special. And then, as I said, when I was sleuthing, I found out that you did youth football coach for Field's athletic training. And I wanted to ask you, do you kind of like, when you have young people coming through that, do you kind of see like very similarities with Drew in terms of like the people that come through who have like that you can kind of almost become like a father figure for? Because as we see in the game, like his father's quite absent, or he's kind of like not in there that much. He's kind of like a big brother to Mikey. Is a kind of like a complex character. He's not just the traditional jock as we see. He's got layers to him, and complex layers. But I imagine like the people that you've worked with in sports that kind of, have you crossed paths with anyone who's kind of similar in terms of Drew North, that you kind of like felt that you can relate to a little bit more in terms of their personal experiences and their personal situations as well?
Oh, most definitely. We about to get a little deep.
I love these.
Growing up, with my skin tone, and not even just to say my skin tone, but there's a lot of people that grow up kind of in the same. It's normally known for people in my skin tone to grow up in a single parent household. Mm-hmm. So Drew North's character, like we hear about his dad, but I don't recall hearing about his mom. I don't recall, you know what I'm saying, what maybe had happened to his mom. So I'm going to assume that he was in a single parent household. Now, his dad wasn't necessarily absent. He was more just working and doing the best that he could to keep the bills, and then having two boys that are playing. Not playing, but two boys that are going to school, and it's a private school, so the school costs tuition, stuff like that. He's trying to make the best of what he could do on one person income. that's stories of my teammates. That's stories of some of the little kids. That's stories of my story. Like, I can't tell you how many events growing up I had to miss out on because, we didn't have the means to do this, or, you know what I'm saying, or that. So that's why I'm going to double back to the question about relating to Drew North. Like, I can relate to him tremendously, because there was times where, if I didn't step up and it wasn't going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Because I wanted to think, I was going to go move into the recording booth, but because you brought it up as well, and I spoke to kind of Dylan Winfrey about it as well, like, as you said, like, I'm Asian, like, if I couldn't imagine going out there and acting as well, my role is going to be limited. Like, a lot of them will be kind of like Caucasian characters, for example, and, whether you're Black or whichever kind of ethnicity you are, there are kind of like limited roles of it. And like with Life is Strange, and especially at BTS, we see like different characters from like different races, and like even the entire series since before the song, we've had people who are from like black backgrounds. But like, do you know when you kind of applied for this role, did you at that point like imagine your look? Because as I said, like the roles aren't hugely abundant for Black people, and there's also kind of like there's stigmas there. I know that some people feel kind of like conscious about some of the characters they might play because they might feed onto stereotypes. But when you got this role, it must have been like a really big breakthrough opportunity that someone's give you, because there are kind of hurdles with people from non-Caucasian backgrounds.
Yeah, you could say that too. First and foremost, I was the only one out of however many people auditioned for the role, and there's so many people that love the game. Love the series, that I was chosen out of. I'm saying this to say that I can't. I'm not gonna. I can't dwell on the fact of, because I can't dwell on the fact that with the similarities, it wouldn't be something that isn't expected. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So It was not to say that, this was an easy thing for me to do, or an easy task. And, not to say anything like that, to downplay anything like that, but just like, it definitely didn't, show my range. If I'm so comparable, or not to say comparable, but so similar to Drew, then I could feel. So that's how I can embody that. Now, if I really wanted to challenge myself, then it would be something different. Maybe something that wasn't so Drew, because then it maybe wouldn't be something that was so Trey, and then people could see the range of how because if I'm doing something that's just normally that I can feel for, or that's normally myself, that I'm just repeating something that that I feel is just about easy, pretty much. So with saying that, and I'm sorry to make that so long-winded, but with saying that, I look to challenge myself. To answer your question, when I got the role, I was just excited. I was excited first and foremost to get something, and not just something, but now I see that I was excited to get something that was so big. I didn't know. I must have known it innately, and something that I would remember later on. But at the time, I was just so nervous. So all these emotions of just, it being my first time, I didn't think about it like that. So just to be chosen at the time was just like, yes, I auditioned for something. They liked me. I got it out of everybody else. I got it. So that's the best way that I can answer that question.
No, I find that really fascinating. As he said, that like there's a wide range with Drew as well, and I'm going to move that into it as well, kind of feeding into where I'm going to move the conversation, which is we've got the role, we're in the recording booth, and with this project, you're going to be heavily collaborating with Philip Bache, the VO director. I've only ever heard great things about Philip Bache and all the other actors' experience with it, but how was your experience working with him? This is your first major VO project. You're working on a video game. He's giving you directions. How was it like working with him and then bringing Drew to life?
Man, bro, to be honest with you, I gotta give bro kudos, because that was my first time actually in a professional recording setting at all. On the go, he taught me so many different tricks that I'll never forget. Like so many different tricks to the trade that I'll never forget to this day. So he doesn't even know. But like once like we're gonna have a conversation. Me and him are gonna have a conversation once, you know what I'm saying, in the future. I already see it. And we're gonna sit back, you know what I'm saying, and we're gonna toast to just like, hey bro, if it wasn't for you, like, you know what I'm saying, it would took me a little bit longer to learn some of this stuff, or I would have just had to it would have took me so much longer to learn this stuff because I would have had to figure it out on my own. Or I probably never would have got to it. So thank you. Thank you. Because recording tricks, like, man, it was so much like I said, just coming off. He could tell that I was nervous. You know, he was just like, yo, we obviously like we picked you for a reason. Like I could tell, like, and it wasn't just the fact of like messing up, but it was just like not delivering exactly what was wanted when it came to it. Because at the time, like when I'm reading the lines by myself, I'm trying to embody, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And in that, I'm trying to figure out. So I'm getting, you know what I'm saying, I'm getting it wrong. So then I come to go record and I still haven't figured it out yet exactly how I'm going to approach this character, how I'm going to embody Drew and how I'm going to express Drew. So a lot of what I would hear was maybe like, you're being a little too nice. Because I wasn't like just nervous, not understanding the scene, not understanding what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that as well as other tricks when it came to recording. Oh my God. When it came to recording, like when I stepped in, when I met my producer and, a lot of these tricks, a lot of these techniques, I'm not going to call them tricks anymore. A lot of techniques that I would approach with recording music, it was like, yo, I just remembered the same thing that he taught me. And I'm just like, you know what? Okay, let me not stand too close. Let me, you know what I'm saying? Certain times when I'm trying to articulate certain words or bend, you know what I'm saying? Bend the vocal so it could, let me put a pencil right here and just to make sure that things are loud and clear or such and such, you know what I'm saying? So little tricks and shit like that. Like I got a little long-winded. Phil, you my dog. We're gonna link again. So
I know, I completely understand. Like, as I said, I've only ever heard great things about Philip Bache, so it's like, and he's obviously had a long influential impact on a lot of actors. And with that as well, like, because you kind of touched on the physical side, which I was going to ask you was like, the lack of kind of like another actor there, you kind of reading lines without context. And then also with like Drew, there's like a kind of a wide range. There's those kind of scenes where he's sometimes docile, sometimes he's kind of like, we see the raw emotional side of him. Sometimes we see him being aggressive, like Nathan, and then confronting Chloe. But with that, I kind of want to spin this a little bit, because you produce music as well, and there's like a raw element as well that you've worked on that. How do you kind of tap into the mindset of like when you do some of those kind of like ranges with Drew, where it's like, being aggressive or being like, calm and docile? Do you get into a certain mind state? Do you tap into a certain mindset, like a certain memory to kind of help you? How do you kind of approach those scenes?
Yeah, so when it comes to that, just tapping, like for me personally, just tapping into old situations. It'll maybe depending on how good you can tap in and remember, you can tap in more into the emotion of it, of like feeling like when you feeling like you got cheated out of something or got treated unfairly for something, and you attach that emotion to what it is that you're doing in the time, and then you know what I'm saying, and shit, let it come to life.
No, that's really interesting, and I've actually thought about this. This was the first question I thought about when we were going to do this chat, and I kind of want to pitch it to you. So, obviously, in hindsight, and we kind of spoke about it a bit earlier. You said like, "Oh, I wish I had all this experience." Kind of like learn things that I didn't know. All the stuff that you've learned since the project, what you picked up on the project, and everything else, and how you've kind of grown older as well. Like, we had 6 years since then. You kind of develop as an actor, as a person, everything else like that. How would you score your own performance on a scale of like 0 to 10? And I ask that mainly because looking back now, is there any scenes that you think that with Drew you would love to have had a second attempt at, because you kind of think like, I actually would have been able to deliver that even better now in terms of hindsight?
I probably no. Even though like I'm sitting back and I've said everything that I said leading up to this point right now, There's nothing that I would go back and change because people love Drew. And the things that I would have wanted to go back and change, like, would have probably been the things that would have made Drew more of the asshole than anything, you know? Yeah. That one part that I said that Phil had said about, you know, he stopped me one time, like, yo, you're being too nice, like, you know what I'm saying, in this scene. That stuck with me. So when I came back to, like, when I seen a lot of the scenes, when I played the game, you know, I almost wanted to cringe because I was like, damn, am I being too nice? Am I being too? But I'm just like, yo, it was perfect for what it was. It was perfect for that moment. It was perfect for the rest of this is just for me and for my experience moving forward. So now I know what to do the next time. But for what I did that time, I bodied it.
I respect the honesty. It's the best way. It was a great performance, as I said. Like, you know, Drew North, Mikey North, a lot of those characters weren't in the original Life is Strange yet. People came quickly to accept that the fact that they are part of the Life is Strange universe with the expectation of the game. So it's quite great to see all those performances come out. And you were part of the part of actors who were replacing other voice actors. You had your own original character, so it was great to see it. But as I said, interesting. To see where you stand on it as well. And as I said, I don't think you can really change things in hindsight, make them any better. They have to be what they are. So, and one thing I wanted to take you through as well, like, you know, one thing I've always found fascinating is like, take us behind the scenes of like one of your recording sessions. Like, what was the day like? When you go to the studio, did you kind of prepare? Do you do vocal exercises? Do you, how do you like read the script all night when you got it? Like, how do you prepare for these things? Because I've never kind of gone fully into the preparation work what it takes for a Life is Strange actor to go into the studio.
Man, during that time, I read the scenes over and over, just making sure that I have my part memorized. You know, I wasn't missing when it came to anything. That was the biggest thing, was just, you know, going over it over and over. During that time, I didn't really have anybody who, I'm not going to say support, but true support. Let's put it like that. Let's put true support. Now, you know, you got your supporters who I give you support, you know, from a distance. Hey, good luck. Keep doing your thing. I'm voting for you, or I'm vouching for you, whatever. Like, I'm on your side. But then you got your other support that's hands on what you need. Like, you need somebody to read lines with you. You know, I never necessarily had somebody that was like gonna read lines with me. That was going to sit back and make sure that I got this thing right, to sit back and to tell me, like, yo, you know, your facial expressions, like, I'm not buying it. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not, you know, nobody to ever really do that. So I just had to read it myself, and I just had to go within to self to know innately, like, okay, this is how you're going to do it. And I mean, thank God for Phil and them that were in there, because during that time, you know, anything that I need, any questions that I have, write to them, make the corrections. I make the corrections. We go, get on. And I mean, a lot of the sessions were in and out. We were probably there maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours at max, in and out.
Yeah, I've heard that kind of experience with people where it's like they were kind of like in the studio, out studio, kind of like just recording lines as they are. And you kind of mentioned as well, that you had more people as well, in terms of like, it's not Phil, it's also the kind of like sound engineers and everything else like that. But I also heard that, I know that Phil's the kind of go-to for your project here. He's your VO director, but I heard that Webb Pickersgill, the co-director of BTS, would sometimes be at the studio sessions. I know Webb quite well. I was on his Twitch stream. He's been really helpful to me and just kind of like being really supportive of me doing this channel and everything else. Did you cross paths with Webb by any chance?
I believe so. I think I might have seen him once. I had like 3 or 4 sessions. I think I maybe seen him once, maybe twice.
Must be nice to put a face to the kind of product, because obviously the developers are working on something else whilst you're doing the VO work. So it must have been kind of nice to kind of get even a brief chat, if anything, with someone from the development team.
Oh, most definitely. And it's funny because, like, as a child, I used to grow up wanting to create video games. So I'm kind of nervous. Like, I'm almost like a fan. You know, like I'm fan struck almost when it comes to like these guys. It's like, yo, you work for, you know what I'm saying, Square Enix. You work, you know what I'm saying. You're doing these projects for who, for what? Like,
Yeah.
This is something that like I've always like, hold on, man, like, yo. But at the same time, I'm here for a reason. Let me just, you know, and in any relationship that can get built, within that time, you know, we build it, and if it carries on to the future, then it carries on.
Oh, I completely respect that. I completely understand that. And I kind of want to move the conversation away from the booth because I wanted to ask you, you mentioned it before, they didn't tell you about the game or the franchise before this as well. These projects are heavily NDA'd. Actors sometimes don't find out until they're in the project or even after it, what part of game they'll be working on. But just in hindsight, and just kind of like looking back now, would you have preferred to have known what Life is Strange before this game, you started working this role, so you could kind of go back and look at source material, kind of like look at early entries, or do you like prefer the fact that they didn't give you any expectations? It was kind of like just working on a game.
No, I mean, I'm honestly like I'm cool with what they did before, because it probably would have been maybe some overthinking, maybe some maybe a little bit more nervousness to realizing how big it was. I still would have rose to the occasion. So I probably shouldn't have even said that. But nah. If they would have told me, I mean, I don't think it really would have mattered. That's the answer that I'm looking for. I don't think it really would have mattered. But now that I've seen how everything went, I'm fine with how everything went. Like they didn't tell me, and it wasn't anything that was bad. So
we have hindsight, so it's great to kind of like get a reflection on things. And I kind of wanted to move this back to the Mikey Drew relationship, because we mentioned it before, but that's kind of like the crux of this character for Drew North. It's like the relationship with Mikey, then also the kind of fact that he's bullying Nathan. We kind of learn an ulterior motive by the fact that the Prescotts kind of ruined his father's business. That there's kind of like this side of Drew that he's just not the jock. He's kind of like looking for the best interests of his dad and his family. And I kind of this is kind of all untangling where the fact that, were you surprised by how complex this character really was in terms of the layers? And then also kind of like this story unfolding with even the limited screen time you had, that you were having an impact, you, Dylan Winfrey, you kind of bringing these two characters to life and bringing a dynamic which might have gone underappreciated in like a TV or a film, because they might have just been really side characters. But it felt like with BTS, a lot of these characters' side stories were essentially really fundamentally important for a lot of people.
Basically, yes. I was thrown a little bit off the initial once the story started unfolding more, because the first scene that I got, and I don't think I did. I think maybe we did the second scene by the time the game dropped. I think I only did 2 scenes before the game. I was only in 2 scenes before the game dropped, and then everything else was an add-on. The first scene was Drew and Prescott's altercation, where we ran into each other, and I was asking about his pervy picture book.
Yeah.
From there, it was just, my first initial thoughts was like, damn, I'm an asshole. Like, Drew's an asshole. And then the story starts to unfold. You find out why he's an asshole, because he has to step up and play father, second father to his brother, because his dad's not there, or having to take the rap for his dad being so-called deadbeat because the financial issues. So that's not hard on. I mean, that's not hard. That's not easy on somebody who's in high school trying to figure out life, figure out who they are, and then you got somebody who's basically like, you've played football, you've got yourself established, you're a starter, you're looking to get a scholarship, and this guy who, the only reason why he's on the football team at this point doesn't even like football. The only reason why he's trying out or wanting to be on the football team is because his dad, who comes from money, wants his son to play football, and he's gonna pay the coaches or buy, whatever facility or do whatever for the school for his son's playing time. and the lack of work that he actually had to put in, Prescott, that is, Drew coming from his background of what he has to deal with.
So Trey, I'm going to ask you my favorite twofold question, which is, what's your favorite thing about Drew and why? And if you had the chance to change or add anything to the character, what would you pick and why?
My favorite thing about Drew was that he was about family. Thing about Drew, because family is everything, and a lot of people may not understand your situation or circumstances and what you're going through, and why you are the way that you are. But because of your reason, your story, what drives you, is going to push you to being who you are. And most people are not going to get it unless they take the time to dive in. One thing that I would like to change about Drew, if you are, I don't like what happened to Drew. I'm not going to condone anybody selling drugs, using drugs. You know what I'm saying? If you're in that situation, I mean, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not advocating for it, but I'm also not demonizing it. So, given the situation, there's people are living in situations that, and I don't have no clear-cut way to help that person out of their situation. So what I'm not going to do is judge. The only thing that I'm going to talk about, though, is that I don't like the fact that Drew North got his leg broke by one dude, especially when you're playing football, when you're an athlete, and you're about to get a scholarship. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you're about to get a scholarship somewhere. Like, it's gonna take more than one guy, and that guy didn't even look like he was that. He didn't even look like he was strong or anything like that. So that just kind of threw me a little bit. But that's the only thing I would change. Other than that,
no, they're both good choices in terms of your favorite thing, and then also you change as well. I think as I said, there's so much room with Drew as well. But also in terms of BTS,
there at least been like three guys. One guy did all that. Like they could have him and Mikey and how am I missing
Chloe
right now? Yes, they all could have band together and jumped it. But
they probably could have taken him out easily. Yeah, as you said, he's not the Damon's not the most formidable character.
Right.
And Drew doesn't look like he'd probably knock him out in terms of
even if Drew couldn't get him, he would have been able to at least keep his attention while everybody else came. But anyways, we're not advocating for violence.
Yeah, we can't change that now, so we have to stick with what we have.
Violence, so yes.
Yeah, true. So with this as well, we're kind of coming towards the final couple of things about BTS and then finishing. But I kind of wanted to ask you, with BTS, was there any kind of standout moment that you really liked from BTS, whether it included Drew or not? Was there any scenes that you really enjoyed from the game?
I mean, I enjoyed the whole game, and there wasn't anything that I could sit back and say that that just stuck out. I'm not gonna pick my stuff. I'm just gonna say that I enjoyed the whole game. It was definitely twists and turns at every corner. No pun intended when it comes to being a choice-based game. But it was some stuff I didn't expect to see, and yeah. It was a dope game overall. That's something that I'm gonna give a full disclosure to the crowd. I mean to the fan base, to everybody. I'm a part of the family, so I didn't know. I didn't know what to expect when it came in. I didn't know about the game beforehand, so it was something that, like, when I was first telling people about it, before I even got the chance to play the game, when I was in the game, they kept asking me, people would ask me, how is it? How's this? And how's that? And I'm just like, well, it's nothing that I would personally play just off the rip without somebody pointing me in the direction of it. It's not nothing that I'm going to turn on the system and, you know, let me go play Life is Strange. Or what's this? Let me play this. But giving it the chance that I gave it is something that I definitely recommend to any and everybody. It'll get you something that can get you critically thinking. I like the fact that it's based off of a female character. You get to see how her coming to age story, and then you get to interact with the other characters that are in there, and you get to find a love for them and the whole Life is Strange universe. So, I can't just pick out one specific thing and say, yeah, this part of the game was like my favorite part. The game is just overall dope. The message is dope. People really, life is strange. Truly is. Yeah. People are going through, they have things that they're going through, and you never know until you sit back and ask somebody. And, you know, sit back and not just ask them, but listen.
Yeah. And in that as well, because I wanted to kind of like encapsulate something like, you know, in terms of you had a huge reaction from the fan base. You kind of like got a lot of kind of really big fanfare from people when the game was coming out. You know, I reached out to you 6 years beyond the games being released and invited you onto a Life is Strange podcast. You've had Before the Storm re-released in a remastered form, so we've seen Drew go back onto the big screen again. And then also you had True Colors come out, and I know that you didn't follow it because and you haven't played it, and so much to Katie's fury when she finds out, and I will make sure she finds out. But you know, you haven't played True Colors, but with True Colors, like, you know, they had the Wavelengths DLC, and Mikey came back, and then in there as well, we had a kind of a mention for Drew and what happened to Drew afterwards as well. But it's kind of like it gave a it's your character.
It's okay. You don't have to say anything else.
Yeah, I would I would check it yourself. But in terms of like, it gave your character a finishing arc as well. Because it's like, you know, people always wondered what happened to characters after BTS. Like, as I said, you had Steph, you had Haley's character, you had Dylan Winfrey's character. They're all original characters that weren't part of the original Life is Strange game. But how does it feel like for me to say that, you know, me bringing you on this podcast 6 years later, talk about Life is Strange, Drew coming back in the remastered collection, then also in Wavelengths, Drew getting mentioned as well. Like, it seems that characters lasted probably maybe longer than you thought in terms of like how much it would have still been like relevant even now.
Yeah, I was always telling them then that they should have made a Life is Strange Drew North edition, just straight up, like just Drew North. You get the full, like, you know. But he definitely I didn't know what to expect coming into this whole thing, so even past the first couple sessions where it was like they called, like I got to call back again, and it's like, whoa, okay, yeah, we're doing this again. Let's keep running it, like, most definitely. And then when you get that little taste of spotlight, I'm not even the main character, and you know what I'm saying. I'm happy for everybody, like Katie getting her big break coming out of the branch off of it and everything. When you get your little bit of spotlight, like, of course you have that, like, dang, we should definitely make this Drew North thing, like, you know, something big. So, you know, I'm excited. I'm happy how everything turned out. I'm excited for what may, you know, happen in the future via Life is Strange, for me, or even anybody in the cast, you know, that may happen to get anything else. If they approach dealing with, you know, with Mikey, hey, big up, bro. Yeah, man.
No, that's yeah. As I said, it's great. It's a great thing for people across the entire board of people who worked on this game, because they had so many opportunities and like life changing for a lot of people. I kind of want to finish on two final questions. The first one is like, how has life treated you since BTS? Obviously, you know, we've had COVID, we've had like a lot of downtime for different actors for different reasons. You know, how's acting been going? Have you been applying for more VO work? Have you been looking for game roles in the video game industry? How's kind of like things shaped up since Before the Storm?
Man, things have been a journey. Like I said, with the music, that's I've been keeping that real, like how can we say this? I've been keeping it I can't think of the word, so I'm going to give you an analogy or more like an analogy or like a vision of what I'm talking about. But I've been keeping, like, just imagine a soda, right? You take that soda and you shake that soda up. And you shake that soda up and all that pressure inside, you know what's going to happen when you open it. That's what it's been like holding on to this music. The visuals from everything is just like, that's like, you know. And then what that's going to carry over, like I took, honestly, since then, like I had a couple other things acting. I haven't really had anything big. I've had some auditions. I've dealt with some management teams that, you know, just wasn't the right fit. You know, no, like I'm not going to dive into anything like deep like that, but they just like, we just weren't the right fit for each other. I had some things where I needed to dial back and recenter and figure out exactly where I was going to go with this thing. So in the midst of that, COVID happened. So it kind of like dialed everybody down a little bit. But with that shit, man, I've built this studio that I'm sitting in right now. It's called the Dojo. It's a multifunctional media studio. It's right in front of me is the computer, of course, the computer desk, all the audio equipment to record not only music, voiceovers, whatever you need, whatever else you need that, you know, is there. Behind me, as you see, there's a big old green screen, excuse my language. There's a big green screen. I got some backdrops up there. I got some lights on the ceiling. Like I've really dove into my Bob the Builder bag and started building some stuff on top of working on, you know what I'm saying, myself. So when I reintroduce, you know, Trey Hutch to the world, then, you know, they know like, oh yeah, Drew, oh he did, yeah. So
nice little rebrand.
So long
rebrand of Trey.
Say it again.
It's like a rebrand of Trey Hutch, isn't it? Like the Trey Hutch 2.0 launch.
Exactly.
So, Trey, I'm going to end it here, but I'm going to ask one more thing. Because obviously, one of the things I've always found with Life is Strange is that people love the voice actors. They love what they've done with the characters, and that inspires people to become actors. And I found like a lot of them always said like, I don't really know where the access point is, how else can I get into it? Just based on your experience and how long you've been in it. Say you're talking to me, for example, and I say I want to become an actor to you. Where would be the kind of first point of direction you would point me to in terms of like going into this avenue if I wanted to become a voice actor or an actor?
The first thing that I would say, it's funny because I got my answers switched up because like this question has been asked for me before, and the first thing I wanted to tell somebody was, you know, give you everything that you needed to do as far as sign up for this, sign up for that, maybe do this. The first thing that I would say to anybody is to make sure that this is something that you necessarily want to do. Be careful what you wish for because you just might get it and you don't know exactly what road you're going down and what's going to endure, what you're going to endure during that travel. Make sure you're built for this. There's going to be days where, especially if this is the only thing that you're doing, there's going to be days you're going to have 28 days of not making or not doing certain things. And then on those last 3 days, you may have the 3 most filling days of your month to fill in your whole month. So, just make sure you're ready for this. After that, watch your favorites. Find out if you don't have any favorites. Find favorites. Mimic. Not to say that you have to copy or, you know what I'm saying, anything, but take from. That's what this whole experience is about, of living. It's taking from other people's experience, adding, you know what I'm saying, your own twist to it, and now making it your experience. Now you just created something new. So, you know, do that. Then after that, sign up for all the, you know what I'm saying, everything that you need. Once you get rolling, once you get a little credit under your system, a little credit under your belt and everything, go out and look for representation, people that believe in you as much as you believe in yourself. And they're going to have your back. I have a great support system behind me. They, you know what I'm saying? Anything that I may need, from when I first started, I was traveling about at least an hour away for every audition. Excuse me, because I lived about an hour outside of LA. Mm-hmm. If I could, if I couldn't handle it myself, then the ones that I cared about, they look out. Somebody would, hey, we got somebody to get you a ride over there. We got some, you know what I'm saying? We got this, we got that. Hey, we could just drop you. I could drop you off. They meet me halfway. I could drop you off. I probably can't, you know what I'm saying? Or I could pick you up, but I can't, So it's not going to be given to you. You're going to have to go out and go get it. And that's what going out and go getting it means. Is there's times where I had to ride the bus or catch the train, and that was a 3 hour from what's an hour drive if you have a car. You know what I'm saying? It's a 3 hour, commute ride from public transportation. So and just to go to an audition for 15 minutes and then to have to go back, you didn't spend 6 hours in travel just for audition for 15 minutes. A lot of people wouldn't do that, Mm-hmm. So make sure that you're built for it. No excuses. You get in, you get what you give. So if you're putting in 100%, you're gonna get 100% plus back. If you half-assing it, you're gonna be one of those ones talking about, man, it just didn't work for everybody, or they got their favorites, they got favoritism out there. That may be true, but you eliminate a lot of those excuses when you put, your best foot forward, you give it 100%, and you stay consistent. So
very eloquently put, and I feel like it's the perfect way to end here as well, because I couldn't put it any better. So we'll finish up here. And as guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Obviously, if you did, as I one more time ask as well, please do drop a subscribe on the YouTube channel, share with your friends, like the video, and support our channel as much as possible. Trey Hutch, thank you very much for coming on. It's great to have you on here to talk about Drew North. Long time coming. Where's the best places for people to find you if they want to find your music or even follow you?
Adnan, man, thank you for having me. First and foremost, guys, like, subscribe, tune in, because you never know who you're gonna catch on here. If you want to find me, you can find me at TR3HUTCH. There's no space in between. Trey Hutch, one word. You can find me on Apple Music. You can find me on Spotify. You can find me on Tidal. You can find me on YouTube real soon. I got a little stuff here and there, but you're going to find my page and everything on YouTube with all the content, everything's been documented from everything I've been doing. Everything I've been doing since Life was Strange up to now. All coming together in the documentary. The album's coming together. It's going to be dropping soon. And then anything else like this. I haven't stopped acting. Maybe I took it a little break, but I haven't stopped acting. I haven't even scratched the surface of the things that I'm going to produce and put out. So Trey Hutch, look for me. You can also look up the Legends Dojo. If you're in LA, you need voiceover auditions. You need self-tape auditions. You want studio time. You want to just come kick it with Trey Hutch, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna cost you, but you know what I'm saying? You're more than welcome to come through and hang and and create some stuff, man. I'm all about creating, man. And then again, I thank you, bro, and I apologize for earlier having to push this back and late messages. It's been just no excuses, bro.
Honestly, I appreciate it. I've been trying to get this, as I said, it's been almost 5 months since we had last Life After Strange. I've been trying to get episodes done with actors, and the schedules and stuff have just been crazy. So I appreciate the fact that you made some time for me and such short notice as well after we initially communicated. And as Trey's plugged as well there, guys, do follow him if you want to keep up to date. But yeah, this will be the end of this. Stay tuned, guys. There'll be more guests to come. I had a wonderful guest on today. More to come in the future. So stay tuned to Life After Strange and right here on Play One vs. the World. Take care, guys.
All right, y'all. Take care. Till next time.